Hey guys, Josh from Delaware Tactical here. Today we've got the Canik TTI Combat. So this is the Terran Tactical Innovations version of the Canik, or their collaboration with them at least. To my understanding, this is a completely new custom frame designed by Terran Tactical. It's got, of course, some other fancy stuff. It's got the compensator, it's got some slide cuts. The stippling on this frame is extremely aggressive. And as you can see on here, we've got the Surefire X300 Turbo, and we've got a Holosun 507 comp for the optic on there. So we're gonna run this thing, see how it does. It feels very good in the hand. It is very aggressive on the stippling. And even for me with small hands, that flared magwell really seals my hand in there, and it feels good. So let's shoot it. And actually, to compare it with stuff as a baseline, I'm gonna start with what my carry pistol is that I have the most rounds through recently. So we'll run some drills, get some comparison tests with the timer, and we'll see how this thing stacks up. Let's see if it's all it's made out to be. All right, so I'm at 7 yards-ish from our target here. I've got the 365 Legion. This is my carry, kind of the gun I've used the most here recently. So we're gonna hit the timer and we'll see what we can do for a build drill here.
Shooter ready.
Ready. See if we can get this on camera. So 249, my splits were 019, so not too bad. But let's see if that picks up with a something a little bit fancier. All right, let's try this drill. Same thing. Now we've got the Canik TTI. Kind of get some dry runs here.
Shooter ready.
Ready. Not bad. There we go. 254, 17 on the splits. First shot at 160. So a little slower on that first shot, a little slower coming out of the holster. So it's definitely a different platform compared to something like that 365 Legion. Now I have smaller hands, so bigger guns like this don't always suit me that well. But in this one in particular, the grip is actually, it's not too chunky on there. I can still get a really good purchase. The trigger guard is nice and open here, so it's really easy to get your finger, you know, from that side ready right into the trigger guard. Yeah, the stippling, it's great, it's aggressive. The mag release is nice and big. So same thing with smaller hands, especially shorter thumbs. I have to do a lot of rotating of the hand to get to the mag release. With this, I mean, it's right there. There's not much I have to do. It's just, you know, ready to go. So I do like it. Now something that's noticeable though, because it's a bigger gun and it's heavier, it's not quite as snappy. So it's kind of a good thing, but you can feel the movement of that bigger slide. You can feel that reciprocating mass compared to something that's small and snappy. It's kind of quick and it's over. With these, it's a different experience. If we compare that to something like, say, the 320, the SIG P320, that's another platform that has a bigger slide and kind of a higher bore axis there. So you get notoriously more of that reciprocating weight as a result. Obviously this thing with the comp, it's gonna mitigate a lot of that, you know, a lot of that movement you would get from that bigger slide running to the back and a lot of that muzzle flip. So that definitely helps. But if we compare it to something like the SIG 320 Spectre comp, which we happen to have here today as well, I think that would be a good kind of apples to apples there for two higher end versions of guns that these manufacturers have. So let's run a build drill with one of those as well and just kind of see where that stacks up in comparison. So here we have the P320 Spectre comp. So it's got some similarities. We've got the slide cuts there to reduce some weight. We've got the comp on the end there. This is a tungsten lower frame, so we've got a little more weight compared to just the polymer on that TTI. The stippling is a little more aggressive, but not nearly as aggressive as on that Canik. So let's see how this thing runs. Same optic, this is a 507 comp. It's red instead of green. That shouldn't matter, right? We'll see. This isn't the exact holster for this gun, so I'm just gonna kind of lay this thing in here, just so I'm not ripping it up out too rough. And we'll, let's see what we can do with this thing.
Shooter ready.
Ready.
Stand by. 252.
252.
20 splits.
20 splits. So that's actually just a little bit slower, right?
Yeah, 154 out of the holster.
154 out of the holster. All right guys, well there you have it. That's doing a little bit of shooting with all three of these. So as you saw, I was actually a little bit quicker with the 365 Legion. Now, of course, that just comes down to, I've got thousands and thousands of rounds through this gun, and I'm pretty new to these two as far as putting rounds through them. Of course, that just comes down to training. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what kind of fancy gun you get. It matters if you train with it. So that's why we push the training aspect more than anything here. That said, this shoots very nice. I'd say the one standout thing is definitely the grip texture on this. Like it's like that custom dragon scale stippling that guys will do on a lot of different polymer lower frames. It really bites you. Like even shooting this one-handed, we did a little bit of shooting off camera. This thing it doesn't move when you shoot it. The thing I will say is having that taller slide, and kind of one of the reasons again we compared it to the 320 is you can still feel that reciprocating mass even with these cuts here and everything. Same thing on the 320, it's got those slide cuts for some weight reduction, but you feel the movement of that. So it's a different experience. It's got a different recoil impulse compared to something that's just smaller and snappier, and that recoil is just quick and over. It shoots really well. I mean, comparing it to the 320 Spectre Comp, this gun still has significantly less recoil impulse, kind of from the shooter's point of view. We haven't looked at the footage yet of the recoil. We'll see if that's the case, you know, for kind of how much muzzle rise we're getting and everything. Yeah, that said, this one it's just the stippling and kind of the frame, it's not nearly as aggressive. And that's not in a bad way, but for me having smaller hands and it being a little bit harder to get my fingers really wrapped around these things and really drive them, that's where the stippling of this TTI, I mean, that thing it just wants to bite into you and do work. So definitely an awesome pistol. We see a lot of Canics at the range. We don't really have any problems with them, so we're fine standing behind these as a purchase. The trigger is definitely nicer than a standard Canik trigger, even though the standard Canik triggers that come stock in a lot of those are great out of the box. They're sort of notoriously known as being one of the better stock triggers in a firearm. This one is still just a step above that. So lots of great stuff done to this. For where this comes in at MSRP, if you can find them for that, I would say you're getting the value out of it, especially compared to the price that you see the Legion and the 320 Spectre Comp for. This fits in, I would say, a gap in the market there that makes it worthwhile comparatively. But it all comes down to training, and it all comes down to what you're gonna like and what's gonna fit your needs, what's gonna fit your hand, and what you're doing with your pistol there. So obviously for me being smaller, it's gonna be hard to concealed carry a big 320 Spectre Comp or this TTI. So I'm continuing to train with the 365, really put that through its paces. But I would say these are both worthwhile recommendations. This TTI is a great pistol. So with that said, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Check us out online at DelawareTactical.com. If you have any questions, call us 302-222-7724 or shoot us an email. It's just training@DelawareTactical.com, and we'll see you in the next one.